This is Eddie Nil from the Nilz.
Tell us a bit about the Nilz, the name, and how it all started.
Well, the name is really something really fucking stupid that I came up with just sitting in traffic in the car. There was a lot of people on the radio talking about the 99% and the 1% and all that. It was around that time. I says, what about the fucking 0%? What about us? You know what I mean? They don't fit into anything. Like, oh, the Nils, right? So that's where that came from. But
Right.
then it turns out there was a Canadian band called the Nils with an S in it back in the 80s. So we just put a Z on the end of it and said, fuck you. Like,
We were the same, deadbeats. There was a million different ones of us. We had to throw the MO, Mayo, and modus operandi kind of crap.
Oh, you had to do it. Oh, that's a great one. Modus operandi is great because Mayo as well, like, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. I was trying to be clever. Maybe the Mayo came first, and then I thought, oh, better have a better.
Well, that's really good. I like that. Yeah. That's really good. But it's better than,
For that
DC.
reason, there was so many. And like, sure wasn't Nirvana had to do that. Like a band, like they had to kind of pay someone off in the 60s.
Well, famously, Blink had to do it.
Yeah, so
Yeah, Blink 182 had to do it from the Dublin band Blink, sued them over the name.
logically, there's 8 billion people on the planet and a fair few musicians amongst them. So,
Yeah, yeah. But some of us can get along, some of us can't. What can you do?
I haven't had any, I haven't had any solicitors' letters in about the use of the name yet. Anyway, but
No. We were kind of expecting some sort of even backlash, like when we got Rebellion this year, because like nobody would fucking know us anyway. Like probably outside of our own scene, like very few people would. So we were expecting like a little backlash when we got Rebellion because like that your name's on the poster then, like But I think that like to be honest, I think the Canadian Nils are gone. Like I think they've stopped making music for a good few years. Like so,
well, we're kind
they were
of
terrible anyway. They were absolutely terrible anyway. Like so, I don't give a fuck.
I was on some punk forum and some lad had put up our records, so we got tagged or something, or one of our tunes, and some smart ass goes, "Geez, they've aged well based on the 1970s."
Yeah, yeah.
A bit of a different look, like and I was like, "Ah, sure, yeah." I said, "You should see the portraits we have in the attic." But I mean, yeah, fuck.
Can I just say before we go on, you've got a fucking great voice for this. You know that you've got a fucking great voice. It reminds me, like, and don't take this the wrong way. It reminds me of Dave Fannin. To be honest, but like in a nicer way, you can see like he talks way too fast. Blah, blah, blah. You have a really nice pace and it's a nice fucking sounding voice for it. So fucking it's really nice to actually listen to your show. To be honest, I'm not being a lick arse or anything like that. That is sincere.
What can I do to get this guy stumped? Like, anyway, to get back to the fans. So, then, Nils, when did you start off? What kind of territory?
We started off in 2015. Um, I'd been in another band for a couple of years and taking a break from music because I know it's gonna sound so fucking egotistical or something like that, but I started to become the person that I was on stage, like off stage,
Right.
and it was really messing with my head. Like, so I I think it was nearly 4 years off,
Yeah.
and didn't want to. I actually didn't want to get back into music. And then a good friend of mine that had been around at the time, we'd never been in a band together, sort of just got in touch with me and was asking me, "Oh, can we get a band together just even for a laugh?" Like it was supposed to be just literally in a rehearsal studio just for a laugh. And then when I started writing songs, I was like, "Do you know what? These are like it's a bit of melody here, and
Yeah.
the lyrics are kind of a little bit articulate. I like this, like
Yeah.
So I kept going at it, and then a year later we were gigging, like
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of how it happened. Like it was really supposed to be just
Yeah.
meeting up with your mates and having a laugh. Like that was it.
Can't escape the punk rock thing. I did the same because you did kickboxing as well. I did the same for about 15, 20 years. It was either competing or coaching, and then of course I would turn up at the Coitus gig, and that's it. Back into the punk rock again.
You're back in, yeah. It's like that Godfather line, isn't it? I thought I was out. Thanks for me back in.
No escape. But yeah, you did some kickboxing as well. You were saying.
I did, yeah. It was actually prescribed to me by my doctor after I left the band. I wasn't in a great place mentally, and the guy was looking for pills, to be honest with you, and he wouldn't give them to me. So he said, "What you need to do is physical exercise."
Yeah.
And that really got me head straight. Like, and I got way into it though, like, and we would train like we were fucking professionals, even though we were fighting like amateur stuff. Like, I got really, really fit and had a few fights, like proper fights in the ring and stuff like that. Like, but it was all amateur level now. Like, wouldn't be your level.
Still, you fight the fights before you. But I don't know my level. Like it was Sandas, like yeah, it was a bit. But I mean, yeah, I was the same. I ran gyms out of Bridgefoot Street and all that, and the local lads coming up, and they were, seriously into it, and it did give them something beyond the life they were kind of facing. And I think they had great life, they had great personal lives, great friends, and all that. But like they were dealing with kind of, like a lot of bonds and the heroin scene, and then police assuming that everybody who lives there is a criminal and treating them thus.
Yeah.
They got a bit of an escape from that, and I could see, as it did for myself, like it kind of, yeah, it gives a lot for you. So maybe your doctor was wise in that sense. But other than what you call it, kickbox. Then so you got back into the Nilz, and you got back into music, and you formed the Nilz, and you weren't happy with just doing the band. You do the buddy core, you do the promotions of it.
Yeah, but Buddy Car came around when I was in the first band. What we used to do was gig swap with bands around the country. Where,
Right.
say, if we get a band from Belfast, we put you on in Dublin and you put us on in Belfast, and we thought that was a great idea. So it was just really bringing that back, But like I kind of didn't want to do it because I didn't want to. Like, it's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of stress sometimes trying to organize tours and stuff like that. But when Chris joined the band, Chris wasn't originally in the band, right? Um, Chris came a little bit later, but he's now the longest member of the band with me.
Yeah.
The rest of them all came after Chris. Chris is the only person I haven't actually ever asked to be in the band with me. I got off stage after a gig. I put up a post saying that we were looking for a guitarist, and he just said, "I think I should be in your band."
Class.
I was like, "Okay."
So
I knew Chris
band
a
members,
long time.
did you know each other before the band, or you just kind of?
You what?
Your band members, like, did you know each other beforehand, or did you just kind of find each other through the band?
So starting off, I knew the guitarist, and he turned out to be kind of a right winger, and I knew the drummer. He was a bassist in another band that I was in. So we got rid of the guitarist, got rid of the drummer, got rid of the bass player. So it's kind of like a totally, from the inception, it's a completely new band. I'm the only original member, like,
I think that.
But like everybody that's in it now, I've known. I knew Chris a couple of years. He was in a band called Septic Pussy while I was in Mongo Horn. We used to like fall around the place laughing, like, we should do a gig together. Look, imagine the poster. It'd be so offensive. It'd be hilarious, like, I knew Gaz from the Excuses. We ended up having like a bit of a Barney with them one night, and I met Gaz then after that and realized, he's actually sound like so. I've known him, like he's a good mate. Andy I've known since Mongo Horn, and he's like a fucking brother to me. He's like an older brother to me. And Marto I met through like OC, and he came in like when we got rid of our fucking guitarist, like, and like Marto's a great guy, he's like, he's a really good musician, but he's also like a good guy to have in a band. He's any sort of conflict or anything that he's brilliant at, like just smoothing it all over. Like he's like, well, said that he's one of the funniest guys you could ever fucking meet as well. Like without trying, you sit down with the guy and you just laugh all night, like.
Who's the lyricist? Is it yourself? Is it yourself who writes the lyrics in the band? Is it, or who's it?
Yeah, I would write.
Like a band that kind of comes from one person and then people key in, or do you all kind of write the music together? And
well, I would write sort of probably 90% of the songs, in complete, like from start to finish, like music and lyrics. Chris has wrote 2 songs in the band, but they're probably 2 of our best songs because he's an amazing musician. He lets me sort of have me free reign, like with the lyrics and stuff like that, on some of the songs, which I think I need. I don't think I could really sing other people's lyrics well, like,
Well, I have to say, like, there's not many people whose lyrics like kind of go, "Whoa, this is something." And people like who haven't heard your stuff, you should really like. I mean, People like Fat Mike and NoFX, I'd kind of go, whatever people think about their sound or their popularity or anything like that, I'd kind of go, the guy can write.
Yeah,
He can really, he can
yeah.
write like, and you're the same, man. I mean, I have your lyrics here out in front of me, but like the end of Ginger Jesus, the very last line, you've got so many incisive things, and you kind of, where do you cut when there's no room for new wounds? You know,
I know.
powerful, man. Like, I mean, you're coming up with really, like, I mean, the other thing is, I'll say about your lyrics, which is really like, because I kind of only really, I kind of only really kind of, they jumped out at me. Like, you sing, as I always say, you kind of follow the Johnny Rotten advice that if you believe in something, you have to pronounce the words, and you do. You can hear yourself, you can hear exactly what you're saying. So,
Well, I love melody and I love articulation in
yeah,
songs.
it's important, and I know there's a place, and I'm not taking down other things, but if you have a music that is kind of protests, you gotta bloody able to hear what's said. What I'd say about your music, which I find fascinating with your lyrics, is when I got your album, yeah, Unicorn Hard Sports, and the lyric sheets in the back of it, so you have the poster of the class war, like of that song. But the lyrics are all out there in the back. And first of all, I was like, Jesus, man, this is some amount of lyrics to fit into the song. Like, this is an impressive. And how the hell do you remember it? I think I asked you that at one stage.
You did, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
like,
I actually sometimes I just write one verse because I like, oh, I'm never gonna remember anything more than this. Like,
I was asking for a trick because I had a half a dozen new songs suddenly, and I was like, Jesus, how am I going to do it? And sometimes, yeah, I do the same. It's like, I
yeah,
won't know.
yeah. Oh, I really do. Like, I do try and write different verses, but sometimes like, if I write a verse and I think that's fucking great, I'm not gonna get any better than that. So what's the point? Like, I'm not. What's the point in ruining the song with a shitty verse? Like, so just
Yeah.
beat it.
Yeah, no, but what impresses me, right? So you have like punk rock. Yeah, it's always going to be political. It's always going to draw a picture and ask the uncomfortable questions. Ask about, the darkness, and kind of ask for a bit of empathy of people and also a bit of action. We're not hippies. We're not just like going to sit on the road and let people, drive over you. We'll fight back. There's always that attitude that we have a moral kind of responsibility to do that. So, it's the punk thing, I suppose. So you have songs like Class War and you have songs like Repulsed by Government, which fit that kind of mold, but then you've got things that really impressed me. And that's like, I don't know, maybe again, the Fat Mike thing, like, Fat Mike will kind of go and say, look, I don't have vanilla sexuality or something like that. And I'm going to state that, I'm going to champion that. And basically, the idea is, everybody should be allowed to kind of live and express themselves authentically, And in yours, like you're talking, like you have songs like Spank and Food for Thought, Robotica, Au Pair, Ginger Jesus, like, and the lyrics in them are absolutely fucking amazing lyrics, right? And you can see you shine a light on us on what would normally be taboo, I suppose, especially in this country. In my living adult life, starting off, I remember that back in the early 90s, we actually in this country, we imprisoned people for their sexuality, which is an absolute
Yeah,
crime against
it's
humanity.
a fucking disgrace. Like, yeah, yeah.
It's a crime
Do
against
you know
humanity.
what? Bitsy actually said something to
What
me.
business do
Like,
people have of what happens in someone else's bedroom? Like, and the fact that people think that they have some sort of moral superiority to do that, there's not a long step from that to 1930s Germany, and what business is of anyone what anyone does. But I mean, but what you're kind of in your lyrics, like, and they're really put together. There's the thinking behind, you know, all of this and different people's expressions of that, and the championing of that you have to be kind of authentic and all that, and that your lyrics give support to people to be whatever they want to be. And in Ireland, which is a very repressive theocracy, and that's what we all sort of grew up in, whether we like it or not, to do that is a fairly brave move. There's a lot of punk bands here. There's a lot of people who've kind of saying things about systems and about governments and all that, but not many people have brought it into the personal realm, And in Ireland, you look at Tume and you look at what we did to unmarried mothers and the exportation, selling of, adopted kids to the States and all that. Like, this is a really central part of our cultural past that's very dark. And you're a band that's kind of singing about the crux of that issue, the fear people have of something that's different, And yeah, really impresses me. And then of course you come out with those lines, as I said, that are like really make you when you hear it, Chad, you're like, Jesus, wow. And then when you sit down and you read it, you're like, fuck, wow, man. So fair play. just where does it come from? Sorry, getting carried away.
Well, I don't know what to fucking say. That was fucking fantastic.
Have you just like where did you decide? Like, I mean, like the impulse. What fascinating is like that you had you had the courage to do that, and you're driven to do that.
It's not courage. It's not courage at all. I'll be dead honest with you. I was never very intelligent as regards in political debates or anything like that. I couldn't hold my own or anything. So, like, for me to write a political song, when there's hundreds of other bands doing it, way better than us. What's the fucking point? Why not just talk about what we know? To be honest, if you were to talk to anybody in the fucking band, we've all gone through the same thing. We're all like, in other people's eyes, we're all sexual miscreants and deviants and stuff like that. Like, but in our eyes, we're just normal people, like, And what we see now with the kids at our shows is they're to us they're fucking normal, but to everybody else they're like freaks and shit like that. And I was like, where did this shit come from? Like, like even in the punk scene, like
it's weird. Like, it's nobody's business except for the individual.
It's nobody's fucking business. You're dead right. You're fucking dead right.
That much fear exists, and in this country we have a shameful past about how we've treated people who aren't, vanilla, effectively, and
yeah. Well, to be honest, we live in a time now.
Been airbrushed out of our history, But
we live in a time now that there's so much more acceptable that it's easy for me to write these songs. It's easy for me to stand on the stage and say that shit, like, I'll never forget Bitsy saying to me about maybe 10, 15 years ago when he came to see Mongo Horn and the stuff that we were doing, he was like shocked. He was like shocked on a Saturday afternoon that we were in a pub doing it. Because that band we would push the fucking limits, like even then, of what you could get away with. Like, and like now I mean, you have like, I don't know. I think the tide is really changing. I don't know about down in the West, but definitely up in Dublin anyway. Like, this, people are standing up and saying, listen, this is how I am, and fuck you if you don't like it, And they're getting people behind them, like supporting them, that's what they need, That's what everybody needs a bit of fucking support.
Somebody's system, they're in a band and they're writing music that kind of says that. Well, there's a lot of people who haven't met a community of people who are supportive and realize that's your life, man. And hey, if you're happy, great stuff. But you're singing that, you're letting people know, that's there's a value to that. There's a value to kind of saying, you know what, you're not alone to that 15-year-old or whatever might be listening to you.
Exactly, yeah. But we fucking live it. Like, I get off the stage and I hug everybody that I can. Like, if that needs a fucking hug, if they need it, like, because fuck that shit. Like, fuck, like, we are vessels, like, for the fucking crowd to enjoy themselves. You know what I mean? I'm not a fucking superstar.
That's like that, like, that's ethos, though, and that's a really healthy ethos. We all kind of. Well, no, people. There's as many human beings in punk rock as there is anywhere else. So there's always a mixed bag.
Big time. There's probably more. There's probably more in our scene, more human beings in our scene than fucking any other scene. Like,
In that sense, yeah, they'll have a humanity. That are humane. Yeah.
There is a sense of humanity, and a sense of empathy for what other people are going through. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the main attractions for me with punk rock. There is that, but you can see it at the gigs. Like, people will kind of an early interview I did down here. Was asking, basically, would people be safe to go to the gigs? And I answered back, what can you expect? And I says, cops, riot fans, and but and as a point, I laughed, and I says, look, man, you go to a punk gig, you're jumping around, and if somebody slips, there's about 8 hands that are going to pick
you up, yeah. It's just because nobody wants to be that soldier. Nobody wants to be that guy getting trampled on. Like, that's bullshit.
Yeah, and that's the empathy. That's the hey, man.
That is the empathy. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah,
and it's kind of there. Your album. So that what I'm talking about there, and a lot of those songs I mentioned is Unicorn.
Hard Sports.
Hard Sports. But you get that on Advanced Records, and people should really check it out. putting that album together, how was that for the band? How long did it take you? When did you start it? What was the
Phew, I don't know whether there's a real time limit that we ever sort of stuck to with it. To be honest, with you. We were kind of. Do you know what? We were really lucky. COVID hit, and I was at home, and I just picked up the bass and just started writing songs.
right?
And all of a sudden, I had like 13 songs. I actually had 15 songs. Two of them didn't make the album.
Yeah,
And
excellent.
then we decided, do you know what? It sounded good. There was a lot of melody in the tunes that I had, which is something that I always fucking look for. I was like, some of these lyrics are quite good. Like, so let's like, take the like we've been doing gigs and we've been saving money for to do an album. And I was like, well, let's fucking use the money now on this because I reckon this is a fucking album. And everybody agreed. And then we were literally, yeah, the weekend we had everything recorded. And then I think it was maybe 2 days mixing. I think it was 2 days mixing. And then we got Aoife in to do her vocals on it one day. And that was it. That was done and dusted then, like, Like it was mixed and mastered by the engineer up in there. Track mix Mick Richards, he's fucking brilliant.
Excellent.
Like he'll record you, mix you, and master you there and then, like on the day,
What are you doing? Were you recording to a click? Or you recording to live?
No, Gaz is an absolute beast. Like he can fucking do it without a click, like.
Yeah,
If you needed him to do a click, he'd do it with a click, but he's an absolute like he's a professional drummer,
yeah. Of course, no, I just meant separately the bands that do, like the way like I was looking at John Lydon had a video up on his own page there recently. Part of the process of the recording their album, which is kind of fascinating. They're sitting around the room and everything is plugged into obviously, but everything is being recorded live as they play it together, whereas
Yeah,
studios want you to kind of lay down the drums, maybe with the bass, and then
yeah.
guitars go in for a day and whatever else. And you're always kind of in punk rock, you kind of want that authentic feel. And
Yeah, well,
maybe
like I would love to record in a live room.
maybe like because my own fear is like sometimes the BPMs do pick up slightly, and that's because of an intensity. And as long as the band is a cohesive unit, that's pretty good. That works. But and then do you lose that if you're doing to a track and you've got a kind of a robotic feel, and you can lose some authentic kind of
Yeah.
aspects of it. So I'm always at war with that myself. So I always ask bands, just, what did you
We
do?
we did we did fucking rehearse a lot, like
Yeah.
before we went in the record. Like it's you gotta prepare. That's
But
what I
you're
think
not going
anyway.
to throw the money down the drain.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, I'm very, very lucky that I reckon we've one of the best rhythm sections in
Yeah, it's
punk
excellent.
in Ireland. Like between Chris and Gaz, they're fucking amazing musicians. So I'm like very, very lucky in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And the buddy core thing you're doing now, like, so you kind of had a hiccup. You were operating as a drop dead twice. You were operating as
Yeah, God, yeah. Drop Dead Twice were great. Fucking
yeah,
hell, they were
or
great.
down.
There's a place now, right? There's a place that changed its identity from start to when it finished. Like when it first opened up, it was like this hipster IPA, you know, on house brewed fucking beer, whatever the fuck bullshit. And it became this place where anybody could go to and feel welcome. Like
Yeah,
didn't matter what color, creed, sexuality you were, everybody was welcome. It was fucking fantastic. The place burnt down during COVID, like just after COVID. Sorry, just we literally released our fucking album in the place. Right, place is fucking hopping,
yeah. I think
absolute
you're
hop.
around
We the
that
fuck.
time, like you were pretty down about that, like, and who wouldn't be?
I was really down about it because it was the best venue I had ever worked with. They were just such easy people to work with,
Yeah,
and they got it. Like you could bring in drink for the bands. They gave me the venue for nothing. It's just they just got it, like they got the fact that I would I was gonna bring in people to put money over their bar to buy a drink, and they were happy with that. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
So, and
Ah,
like
freedom.
you let me charge on the door and all that, so like I was able to pay bands from that,
Yeah,
I don't know. They were fantastic. It's such a pity that the place is gone,
that's brilliant. Because I remember talking to Charlie Harper before. I was asking him advice, I suppose. Lionel Burke was kind of telling me I should be doing something down there, but Charlie Harper was telling me about in the 1970s when the 100 Club and the Roxy was going. The Pistols and the Clash, and I could be getting like a fiver a night, right? So again, and then the Rolling Stones at the time were getting about 35 quid a night, right? And what he did was he found some dives that were basically going under, and he says, "Here, you get the bar, we keep the door."
Yeah.
Self and Crass, and there was another band, and he told me I can't remember their name, but what Crass will tell you was them playing to the subs, and the subs playing to Crass. It was another band, there was a few other people involved, and then of course it would grow and stuff like that, and then he'd go down to another pub that was similar, and he'd say, "See what I did there," and they'd get him on, and he'd go back to the original pub and say, "Well, you better start paying us now as well, or else I'll just move down the road." So he managed like a guy was wise, and it became sustainable.
Yeah.
And, like I was impressed with what he did, and he says to me, "No, watch out, because once you do bring something from the gutter up to being feasible for their own selves, the first thing they're going to do is try and sell it in case it goes back down again." So
yeah,
a few pokers in the fire.
Yeah.
Like.
No, I did. I fell out with venue owners around Dublin that I used to put gigs on because I wasn't putting gigs on them anymore, and I did actually have fallings out with people over it. But like, there was no way I was moving because that place was just, they were just such fucking sweethearts, the whole place, and everybody in it, the vibe was just fantastic. Like,
You're in McGee's, isn't it, these days? That's where you're doing the buddy core from, is it?
Fibbers were sound with me then. Yeah, they pay me over the bar to pay the bands, like, but now it's fuck all money. It's like 400 quid, which is a real pity, like, because I'd love to get bigger bands in that place. It's a great stage, and you get great crowds in it. And the sound engineer Russell, he's fucking. I get along really well with him. I think he's great. Like,
in, so it's kind of like you don't have a door. And
exactly.
That's the thing. I was talking to Peter Jones about that. He was saying the same thing. Like, that the cost of bringing bands over, the cost of hotels, the greed of that, has impacted on the cultural experience. The gentrified.
We would be a little bit more DIY now than Peter as regards. Like, I would have people like in my house and staying on my floor that I'd never met before, like from places like Germany.
Yeah, as down here, but it's like, it's unorthodox. You said, like, as I was saying to one of the lads recently, it's like, they took a hotel in Sydney, and I think he had to borrow a base from me, like, so I drove him up to the house.
Yeah.
And I says, "Oh yeah," and he was going, "Oh, you're a normal fucking place." And I says, "Yeah, well, like, yeah, I suppose when you're looking at a guy with fucking green spiked hair said to you, 'Hey, you can stay in ours,' you might be thinking like you lie down with the dogs and you get up and fleas,
Oh, I've had that. I've had a fucking.
I said that to him, but you can kind of go like, yeah, maybe he thinks that, like, and I can certainly attest that certainly there's been times when I've kept on a floor in a London squad where there is 3 dogs with fleas lying on top of them the next morning. So
yeah,
you never know in the pub rock scene what you're in for. But there's that.
I did have the Scottish band come over that only one of them would come back to the house. The other 2 guys got a hotel room, and he was ringing them from the house. It's fucking lovely. That's stupid.
Because I suppose there is that culture. There was in the 80s anyway. Like, lads I used to play in bands with Pat Duffy, used to play in Coitus. So, they all lived in the squat scene, and you had, fermented Antisect and Coitus and Dread Messiah and all that crowd. So it was normal, But I suppose it became less normal then for a while. And you have you get the strange looks from people, because you're used to the old school approach, and they're looking at you like.
But it's bad when you play like in squats on the continent. They're fucking lovely. Some of them, they're absolutely lovely.
It's their homes. And they can legally.
Well, but a lot of them are government subsidized.
That's right. Yeah.
Which I was really surprised that in Sweden it's all government subsidized. I was so surprised, and Denmark as well.
We borrowed from the UK, and they wanted to push the people out of the inner cities and gentrify it and make the money.
It'd be great to have something like that, though. Government subsidized squat over here. A venue like
massive ingredients. You'd have to kind of have, which happened in Ireland in the 70s. And then they started building the flats for people and stuff like that. When people we have no homes. But Jesus, we're in a very similar situation. So we're going to, and there are actually groups. Like there was up there up at Houston Station. I remember coming out of the train one time, and there was a squatted place across the road, again providing for homeless people, providing for refugees and all that. And these are all voluntary bodies, and of course they're persecuted by the state, and they're painted black by mainstream media. And you're like, what are they doing? They're giving people a Maslowian basic shelter, and then and a lot of the times, if they have a bit of cash, they'll give them food as well. Like, and these are the devils. They're providing people who have nothing, or kind of with the basics, But
The filthy
Yeah, as you
mess.
said, there's more humans and humane people in the punk rock scene, I suppose, but
Fucking
forget it.
right, and there isn't at all. I tell you that. Yeah, yeah.
That's the story. Anyway, you have the album out. Any gigs coming up for the Nilz before I let you go?
We have we I don't know whether this will go out before, but June 30th, yeah, 30th.
Yeah.
We have Pink Wonder and Uranus Front from Berlin coming over, and they're going to be playing with us and the Skunts in Fibbers on the 30th. And then we're going up north. We're going up to Oma the next day to play a festival up there called the United Tribes Festival. Then after that, sneakily, a Buddy Car gig. We have Audible Joe's playing their last ever Dublin gig in Fibbers on July 28th. And we're gonna play that as a band called the Fill-Ins, but we're just gonna do punk covers because one of our guitarists can't make it, so I'm not gonna play it. Something else.
Yeah.
But that'll be fun. And then we're in a rebellion, so who gives a fuck?
You're busy and you're keeping. You booked us months in advance. I was like, man, this is stuff together.
You have to. You fucking have to.
Yeah, I know.
You're just members. You don't do it.
I'm
You can't get a fucking gig. I hate it, but I have to do it.
Yeah. You know, it's been great chatting to you, Eddie. And catch you soon, pal.
Yeah.
All right.
Niall, you're a fucking legend, man. Lovely voice.
You said it, brother. Galway and I'd be fucking bitches and rock it. It's gonna be our last song. Are you ready to break? Let's go.
no, you're not going to wreck the fucking place, are you? It's like, what do you take me for? For fuck's sake, somebody's fucking gifting me a place to fucking stay. You think I'm going to go in like fucking Sid Vicious or fucking something?
Here's it. You've got to fucking ask, because if you don't ask, somebody will wreck something. I'm telling you now.
Yeah. Well, like, you know, my fucking house, there's enough fucking Chinese fucking sabers around that, you know, there's consequence, lads. When I
I love that.
fuck with me.
I fucking love that. Yeah.
N.Kaos. Deadbeat's journey through the underground. Interviews, music, punk, community. Attitude. Support your scene, like, follow, and share. And say hello in the comments below.